All right, guys, what is up? Welcome to the Nomadic Mind. We're going to react to an RFK Jr. versus Elizabeth Warren. Am I fucking recording? Yes. I think I am. Anyways, RFK Jr. versus Elizabeth Warren. Full exchange in a fiery discussion at a Senate confirmation hearing. Holy shit. Let's see what this is all about. I'm going to click on this.
Kennedy, I want to start with something that I think you and I agree on, and that is that Big Pharma has too much power in Washington. You've said that President Trump asked you to, quote, clean up corruption and conflicts. Sounds great. You've said that you will, quote, slam shut the revolving door between government agencies and the companies they regulate. That also sounds great. So here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just repeat the last part of the question? Can I commit
You're
to
not going to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this question.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep going. You're right because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our number one health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online, you do commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No. I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies, and I'm not going to agree to that, Senator.
Drug companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint people to the CDC vaccine panel who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation, even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS. And I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as Secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
No, look, no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
How about then say you won't make money off what you do as Secretary of HHS?
Before we go to Senator Tillis,
Jesus Christ. I mean, the only thing I'll say to that is that RFK Jr. is definitely well within his rights to financially make whatever money he needs to make. The man's on a mission to try to make America great again, to make everyone fit again, to try to make them healthy again. And you'd be bullshitting yourself if you were believing that somehow the pharmaceutical companies, the vaccines themselves, aren't in any way tampered with or even manipulated in some sort of way to go against your own health. Not saying that all vaccines are bad, but there have been in the past, in the history, where, people have said that this vaccine is for certain, cure for a certain disease, and suddenly it was an experimental drug of some kind that basically euthanized people, and situations like that have happened. And unfortunately, we live in an age where we can't trust corporations, governments, and RFK is going for the push for transparency with, fighting back against these pharmaceutical companies, using real science, actually testing the vaccines, because the COVID vaccine, whether you believe it or not, it was rushed. There are side effects that people have, gone through, felt, who have even died, heart damage, lung damage, blood clots. There are so many things that have gone wrong. Not everyone reports on this, but there are thousands of people that go unheard of that report certain health issues, immune disorders, there's just so much stuff that has gone under the rug and not been sort of talked about, that it's a concern. And then not only the vaccine problem, but just the food industry itself, the amount of chemicals and all sorts of ingredients that should not be in food products You could argue it's because, to make them last longer or this or that. Bullshit. Companies can find a way to try to make things natural, healthy, and good, and give you, and then also find ways to keep them from expiring or this or whatever you think, like, crops where they spray all these like preservatives or pesticides to try to keep the insects, or genetically engineer them to be, more bigger or this or that or whatever. It's not necessary. It's unethical. It's all for the pursuit of making more money. And I'm all for businesses to try to make more money, but not at the cost of like interfering with the safety and health of the people. And that's very wrong. It should be illegal, and there are definitely loopholes within this country that allow these corporations to just kind of do whatever the fuck they want and not have any real consequence. And to be honest, RFK, in my opinion, is the best person to try to undermine all these laws and regulations that allow these corporations to feed us a bunch of this crap. And at the end of the day, everyone has their choice of what they choose to eat, but not a lot of people are informed well enough, especially in school. And not a lot of people, the majority, in fact, don't know that what the ingredients are in most of their foods. Very rarely everyone will turn the box and read the back label and read all the ingredients that are in these products, because we have to be honest with ourselves that we live in a country where we're not really educated on what's really best for us. And unfortunately, in the food industry, we get sold so many chemicals within our products that in other countries it's banned. It's illegal, and it's something that's, I feel like more and more people are becoming more aware of, especially with social media, spreading the information about being more self-aware about what you eat, what exactly you put in. Because most people, like especially in bodybuilding world and who want to lose weight or this or that, they always tend to look at the macros, fats, proteins, carbs, calorie intake, um, and stuff like that. But not a lot of people tend to talk about the ingredients, the quality of food, and it's really important that people become more aware and educate themselves on the ingredients and what they're exactly consuming. You know, like hot Cheetos, for example. A lot of um, candy and chips that require coloring. You have the famous Red 40 dye that is in hot Cheetos, M&Ms, or whatever, a lot of stuff. That specific chemical, I believe, is a carcinogen. I Correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but it's a carcinogen. It's bad for you. And there's no telling what sort of side effects that your body will have in the long term. Because, you're young, you're kids, you eat all this garbage ass food, and your body is young enough to be able to repair itself and all that stuff and still keep healthy to a certain extent. But long-term effects, if you keep sustaining that sort of type of diet over the years, especially as you get older, as your body will get older, weaker, and without the proper nutrition, without the proper fitness or training, your body will deteriorate and fall apart way more faster, as opposed to someone who probably takes more care of themselves and eats better quality food. There just has to be a balance. There has to be more of a awareness, and RFK is the one person who understands this. Long are the day, it's long are the days. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but what I'm trying to say is that we have to get into a system as a society, as a country, to implement more exercise, more nutrition, especially in schools. Because in schools, elementary, middle, and high school, those are the most important years of a child's development. You know, you're training them to be an adult. You're training them to become who, you know, not who they will become, but you're giving them a lot of training in terms of like social structures, you know, just comprehensive of like the world around you that exists. You know, you get taught history, math, stuff like that. None of it that most of it you won't even, you know, maintain throughout your adulthood, but it gives you an idea of what to expect. And it's a great opportunity if you can implement more health and nutrition and more awareness of what the world actually is and what you're actually consuming, and actual training of how to be an adult. You know, for God's sakes, teach kids taxes and stuff, and like how to actually be an adult, because unfortunately that's the world we live in, where we have to pay taxes and stuff and take care of ourselves, you know. That should be a lot of the main focus on in school, you know. Obviously have your math classes and art classes and all that stuff, but a good chunk of it should be about how to be an adult, how to buy a house, how to do this, that, things like that matter, how to make money. It's just, I know I'm going on a tangent with this 1 6-minute video, but it's a way to me to kind of vent about like how bad our country really is. And I feel like with Trump and this new administration, there might be a real chance that we can restructure how things are, especially with the last 4 years with Joe Biden. It's been a shit show. And you're lying to yourself if it's not. And I know that not everyone is affected the same way. And just because your life hasn't been affected by, you know, immigration or, you know, all sorts of like, you know, maybe money wise, you know, this, that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that you should just look past it and look the other way and bury your head in the sand and just be like, well, it's not my problem. Fuck it, whatever. No, it should matter. And as a society, we have to work together, be more aware about ourselves, how we can improve each other and ourselves, most importantly, but improve ourselves first. So that way we can help others. But I'll just leave it at that. I mean, this video with RFK and this fucking lady, she's just so annoying. I've seen her so many times in other stuff, and she just like is. She's an idiot. Doesn't really. She's so bought and like left wing and just all that stuff that she's not really a, you know, she's not taking in consideration what RFK's goal really is, and it's to help the American people and really look into the science of like how vaccines can actually hurt people, how they can definitely have side effects. Not all vaccines are bad, but definitely there is science, or there is this thing where corporations do not, there is no one is put at fault, or there's no blame being placed on the pharmaceutical companies if there are side effects, if there is something that goes wrong. There's no one to blame. And that's what's wrong, and that's what needs to change. There needs to be more blame, more there needs to be more accountability. And hopefully with RFK in charge of the, you know, the health department, you know, that there's definitely change that will come, hopefully for the better. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed my little commentary after the video that I reacted to. And if you like the way I think, if you like the way I talk, if you appreciate my sort of perspective, definitely try to subscribe to my channel and like, comment, help the algorithm try to pick up this video. And yeah, we'll just see what happens. Take care, guys. Good night.